This will start our first budget workshop for our 2027 budget. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. And thank you for your proper planning on last year's budget. That will certainly help us this year. We do have probably our big, there are a lot of unknowns out there in the budget world, and with us not knowing what state and what's coming down from the state. And you heard this word last year, and you're going to hear it again this year. The biggest unknown is the LIT, local income tax. Good news is it did get delayed a year before it hits us and hits us budgetarily, but it will start to impact the city in 2029. So we're hoping, as we told you last year, as we told council, that maybe some legislation would change along the way, but we don't know that. So for now, Tish and I have worked on some of this. We've talked a lot about it. We feel we have to be very cautious with this just because it is an unknown. The way Baker Tilly, I did get my projections back, and thank you for allowing me to get those. They are predicting that in 2029, the city will lose 1.1 million of our LIT funding. So that 1.1 million. We are hopeful, and I have spoken with the county council president via text today. I've spoken with Chris Fugate of Austin. There is a way the state has set up that the county council leads this, but they have to let the state know. It's either October, they have to say if they wish to form this task force or whatever, it's called MUST, M-U-S-T. It does appear there's interest in doing that. And if we are able to work with the county and the other entities, it will behoove us and we will not be hurt as bad on our LIT money. And as some of the numbers that Tish did, just to give you an idea, that the 2026 budget was 7.3 million. What you all set the funding for
the tax receiving entities.
Right.
MVH,
The one.
general fund,
and parks. Yes, for those three. And then 5.3 million of that, we received that in taxes, property taxes, and our LIT funding. So you see there's a 2 million there that we have to make up by fees, rental of our parks, the sanitation comes under that. So there's, if we lose 1 million of it, that's going to make a farther gap there. So hate to even talk about that, but that's why we're treating this budget cautiously still because of the unknowns. One thing that we have to do this year is because, as you know, this year we have started receiving our stormwater fees. And thank you all for getting that ordinance passed so this could happen and we could move forward on some of those repairs. But we have been, and we've worked with Baker Tilly on this, we do have to set up a separate fund for stormwater. So the fees we take in from stormwater will go in that fund and be used only specifically for that, as we all thought, but that's a very clear way to track it. It'll have its own bank account and it will be set up as an enterprise. So that being said, we're kind of blessed that the positive is we will no longer have to budget that. So we're going to be able to take that department out of next year's budget, out of 2027. So that will free up that money, and stormwater will have to reimburse the general fund where we paid for them in 25 and 26. So we'll be getting some revenue, but the real positive is we'll no longer have to worry about, and I think, was that, but I don't know. 251. So that budget's been 251,000. So that's very helpful. We have worked on some numbers that we know to date, things that we have to add to the budget, and temporarily, these are like where it's we might not have got enough last year, one of them I know I overlooked on the calculating was the hydrant fee that we pay. So with those type of expenses that we know we have to add this year, that's about 102,000. So we're going to listen to we've got 3 of our department heads, and then HR wants to do a presentation. So we'll be listening to them tonight to just kind of, so they can acquaint you with what they're needing in their department. And what our plan is after tonight, Tish will, I know, be requested, you guys after the meeting can tell her what you wish for her to calculate, or she will calculate what everything they say tonight.
Whatever somebody mentions.
Whatever they mention, she will do the calculation for that. And then we would hope to communicate with council via an email for like the next 3 weeks, and then have our final workshop after our July 21st meeting. It's just stay over, but we would like, you know, if you need to call me and talk about it or put yours in, like what you want to prioritize, I'm willing to work with you that way too. I would like, because this is another big albatross, that Tish, and we've been watching this with our Bacala Center, you know, the city owns that. So I'm going to let her touch on that, because that's one thing we must deal with this year.
The Bacala Center was renovated with a federal grant to make that a community youth and senior center. So it has rules, just like this building had rules before City Hall moved out here. So I'm not going to address any of that. That's for attorneys and other people and you guys to deal with the building itself. But financially, it has about, at the end of this year, it's going to have about $3,000 left in its fund. It has currently, we believe, no renters paying
I
rent.
don't think so. Have they
The last
left, Mayor,
renter, I
the
think the
advocates, children and advocates, have they left the Bacala Center?
Yeah.
I thought they had. I saw they stopped their internet.
So no money in, you can't pay money out. So that, there's going to have to be a line added to the, we'll probably add it to the board works to cover their expenses. Their ongoing expenses include a phone bill for the elevator, which you have to have. And they have an elevator inspection each year and other nominal things that come up. Last year, they had to have a new air conditioning unit, which was about $8,000. And that was, what happens is their budget was only like $4,000. So whenever anything came up that cost that they couldn't afford to pay, it just had to be paid out of the city anyway. That's been going on for at least since it's been done. Since it's been done, we've been paying large sums out of the city. The other thing that gets paid out of there, the contract with the Lifespan states that they will pay this a certain amount in utility bills. And I don't, the mayor might recall that amount off the top of his head, but they pay up to a certain amount. What they do is they pay the whole year and then they calculate and say, oh, you need to reimburse us X amount. So that might be anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 that we pay them back for the difference between their contract and what they paid in utility bills. So long story short, need to probably put in a minimum of about $10,000 in the Board of Works to cover that building and its day-to-day operations. And again, if something big breaks, it still would have to be paid from somewhere, even though it wouldn't have maybe money in that particular line. And then in terms of the building and its long-term, that's a conversation for all of you outside of the budget period. But we have to have money for that building in January. We currently own the building, so we'll be asking that we have a line item in the budget for, we're just going to estimate $10,000. That will at least cover the phone bills and the bills that we've had that haven't been, like for a new air conditioner, it will cover what it's had for the past several years.
Thank you. So with all that being said, and just to kind of give you an introduction to where we are to begin with, I will turn it over to Emily Keller, our HR director. She does want to present one thing before we get to Mr. Ritchie. So Emily, come on up.
Mine will be really quick. So I am presenting on behalf of the sanitation department and the mayor's office. The mayor asked me to present this to you all tonight. So we currently have a position named as sanitation laborer part-time within the sanitation department this year. And definitely most recent months, we have discovered that that position needs to be more of a full-time position. If we can just begin the calculations for what that will cost to make that part-time position a full-time position, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm just speaking for Zach, our sanitation supervisor, and the mayor's office.
Anybody have any questions of Emily?
So you have a part-time guy now,
Yes, we
and
have
they
a
wish to
part-time
make him
person.
full-time? They just wishing to make him full-time, or is there a reason we asked? to go?
Is he over 32 hours?
No, he's up to 28 hours.
But that's saying he's not breaking the threshold right now.
No.
But he would if he could if he was full time.
Yes, because 28 is our part-time.
That's what I'm saying. So he could
Yeah.
go past that. We could work him more than that is what you're coming to. You need a full time position for that.
Right. Mhm.
That's the question.
The workload, yes, the workload with the recycling building, the new scaling system, and then other things that Zach could use assistance with. He could work 40 hours easily.
And they
Yes.
they all take care of the,
They're all kind of
Recycle.
sharing the responsibilities, including the street department for the recycling building.
So what she's basically asking is for Tish to calculate, we already have that money in there for the part-time person, but she wishes to make it a 40-hour-a-week person. So we will have that calculation for you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
And, okay,
I think that's what Tim was trying to get to. Is it something that we could already use them that many hours? We're just not quite,
Yes,
not to break the amount of hours.
thank you guys.
You're welcome.
We have.
We have
10 people in the
Fire
state.
Chief James Ritchie.
Mine's pretty short and sweet compared to what you guys are used to from me.
Disappoint us here
I
now.
understand Senate Bill 1 or Senate Road Act 1, so I try to take it easy on you guys now.
You know the drill,
I know the
right?
drill. I know the drill. And as you guys are all aware, also I'm pretty easy to work with. So, number one, we can check that off the list. I think we have a commitment. I just didn't want to waste a bunch of papers, city tax dollars to reprint all this. So, Mayor appreciates that, right?
Amen to that.
So we could scratch that top line. That I think that's been resolved. So that's a great thing. The second item I had was the same. Oh, I'm sorry, Tish. Did I not give you one? My apologies. The second item I have is no surprise to any of you. It's what I told you. I'm going to come back year after year after year, and that is a full-time firefighter. We're at a point now where we're setting really good, as you guys know. With the help of you guys, we have 3 full-time 24-hour firefighters. So that allows us to have 24-hour coverage. The problem is as they get more tenure, they continue to get PTO, they get holidays, they get vacation days, so on. Where that creates a gap is we have to fill that with part-timers, which if we fill that with part-timers means we have to take part-time shifts out the rest of the week. Because that'll put us over if we continue to do that. So basically it kills our manpower using part-timers to fill those shifts. But that's what we have to do, or we would be volunteer for that 24 hours. Otherwise, myself or Eric will jump in and do it. But then once again, that's putting us in a position where we work one 24-hour firefighter shift. That takes away 2 work days during the day that we can be conducting normal daytime business. So once again, if we had an additional guy that's going to be able to fulfill those PTO slots as they come open, but obviously, once again, knowing the situation, knowing the financial standings of the city and every community across the state, I did throw an alternative out there, and that was an alternative to the full-time would be increasing our part-time staffing. So that way, if we are to continue to fill those open slots with part-timers, it's not going to put us in a position where we have to cut staffing on other days to be able to fill those shifts. So That was kind of the alternative that I come up for the other. Obviously, you guys know what I would prefer. However, I also understand, you know, there's not a money tree out back. So with that being said, the alternative is there if you'd like to use it. But that's really all I have. Does anybody have any questions or any?
James, how many part-time, I know there was a time you went through where we really were shy on the part-timers.
Yes, yep.
How many do you have now?
We have 10 active part-timers. But I'm glad you asked that question just so I can kind of share, because there is a lot of misinterpretation on that, I guess. When I say we have 10 part-timers, that's how many we have employed. We are only actually budgeted and scheduled for one part-timer a day for an 8-hour shift. So basically we run one part-timer from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And that allows for us to have additional staffing. And once again, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. You guys got a lot to do tonight. So as you can imagine, night times, weekends, our volunteers are available because during the day they work. During the day, our call volume spikes because obviously there's people at restaurants, there's people working, there's people at Walmart, the businesses are up and moving, there's people up and down the interstate. So we have a lot more call volume during the hours of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Once you hit that 6 p.m., call volume starts to drop. Obviously, at that point, now more of our volunteers are available. So we staff heavily during the day, and then we staff light at night. So basically, currently, how we do it is we have 4 firefighters from 7 to 5-ish, and then it drops down to 1 firefighter from 5 p.m. until 7 a.m. in the morning. So that's kind of how the part-time works. It's 1 firefighter per day, every day. But once again, when one of those part-timers, when we have a full-timer take off, that's actually 24 hours. So that's 3 part-time shifts. And that's what I was saying by when a part-timer fills that shift, let's just say on Wednesday, well, now I have to remove Thursday and Friday, because if not, we would be going over budget. Just simply because it's a 24-hour shift and you've eaten up 3 of your part-time days. So that's the alternative portion of it, just so that'll help supplement those times if we have to do that. So.
Does anybody else have any questions of Chief?
How many full-time people we got now?
We got 3 24-hour guys, and then myself and Eric, which are daytime Monday through Friday.
Did we know how? I thought we budgeted a new one in last year, new person in last year.
It was the year before, and that gave us the 3. That filled our third 24-hour, because and for those of you not familiar how it works, we have an A, B, and C shift, and each firefighter works 24 hours. So one firefighter will come in and work a 24-hour shift, A shift, then B shift will come in and work a 24, C shift will come in and work a 24, and then now it's back to A shift. So basically what it equates to is a firefighter works 24 off 48, works 24 off 48. So at the end of the week, or 2 weeks, I guess I should say, pay period, where a normal employee is getting 80 hours, they're getting 96 or 120, but it's still pressed into that same salary. Clear as mud. So yeah, but when we hired that other firefighter, it filled our C shift. So we already had an A and a B. So how we was doing it was we had an A, a B, volunteer, A, B, volunteer. And once we hired that firefighter, it gave us the A, B, C. But once again, that wasn't, it was considering, because obviously we knew that was going to happen. But every year that goes by that these guys gain tenure, the more benefits they get as far as PTO. And the more PTO they gain, the more time off they're going to get, obviously. So that we're going to have to fulfill in some way, shape, or form. And once again, I don't want to rabbit hole it, but it's kind of a catch-22. Nobody in this room, I think, is unaware that the volunteer fire service is diminishing. And that's not just the fire service. I think volunteerism, period, is diminishing. But the more we try to do to supplement volunteers, the less volunteers respond. And what I mean by that is, example, put yourself as a volunteer firefighter. In the middle of the night, when we had no paid firefighters and the alarm went off for an automatic alarm at one of the factories or one of the nursing homes, 99% of the time that's a false alarm. But you still would pry yourself out of bed, lose 2 or 3 hours of sleep, knowing you got to get up early for work in the morning and go to that call because you felt the obligation that no one else was going to go. Fast forward, we start to bring on paid guys to supplement that. And what do volunteers do now? When they open their eyes, the alarm goes off. It's nothing major. It's a minor call. It's a smell of gas odor, or maybe a trash can on fire, or whatever the case may be. They wake up and they hear it and they go, I got to get up at 5 a.m. I'm not getting up for that. The paid guy can take care of it. So what you create now is a situation where if you are now a volunteer shift for 24 hours, you're really running a risk of, is somebody going to take that call? You know, granted, I was speaking to some of you guys and about this whole logistics of this, and we send out messages saying, hey, we're 24, or we're going to be volunteer for the next 24 hours. But at the same time, you know, they're volunteer. Wait, you can't force them to go, you know? So yeah, that's that.
This 70,000, is that a normal starting pay for most?
No, that's-
in this area or what?
That's starting pay, and Tish is probably cringing when you hear that because I didn't want to bother them. I know they were busy. But no, starting salary for a firefighter currently is $56,930.
9.5. So we just figure, I think it's
Okay.
56,995, so
Yeah,
right at
57,000.
57,000.
That's everything combined.
So
together.
this is
This
this is
is
benefits.
Benefits, yeah,
Right.
that's everything.
Correct. So yeah, that's salary plus per benefits, which, like I said, she's probably cringing because that may be a little low even. I don't know exactly.
A little
Right,
low.
right.
It's a little low.
Yeah, good sell, James.
Yeah, good sell, James.
Yeah.
Good rule of thumb is add 50%.
I mean, if it would have made you guys feel better, I'd have put $69,995.
Yeah, there's the car salesman, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
But that 57 is the average starting wage for a community our size? Is that where you come up with that?
No.
59.95?
No, it's not.
That paper that Steve sent you, everybody got,
Right,
that's, the
I
same-
got that.
that's firefighters that are at the site.
Right. It's all, yeah, pretty lateral when it comes to that. And once again, I don't want to get on a soapbox. We understand that. It's one of those where obviously different communities, different volumes, there's going to be different pay rates. Obviously, we understand that Scottsburg is not going to make what Columbus is going to make. Scottsburg is not going to make what Jeffersonville is going to make. Yes, is there competitive issues there? Yes, understandable. But also we understand it's a different tax base. There's a lot of logistics behind those numbers. So to answer your question, I'm not going to say it's low, but it is on the lower end of what police and fire are making in other communities now. Yes.
He danced around it, yes, it's low.
I
I looked, because I went and compared
Yeah, I was-
sizes by census when Steve sent that to me, because I'd never seen it. He actually got that from Perth. And I was like, I went to the cities to see the size. We're bigger than a lot of the cities that make more money than us.
Well, I know there's a couple on there, yeah.
And there's a couple that are
There's
low,
a
but-
couple that are, most of them are a lot larger cities than ours.
Well, almost everything on there is over $60,000.
Right.
And the ones that are in the 50s are smaller than us by 2,000 to 3,000 people. I just,
That'd be a pretty small community.
that's, we're,
3,000 less.
well, I don't know what our new census is gonna be. It'd be interesting to see. I don't know what the census is now.
We're pushing 8,000.
I say last time I wrote a grant was way less than 8.
Maybe 70s, I'm thinking I saw 77, but.
And most of those were 5 to 6. Thank you, James.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
All right.
Tell them about your camp, your fire camp, the numbers.
Yeah, it's coming up, and I was telling them if any of you guys are bored on our summer camp dates, which they're not in front of me, shame on me, I don't know exactly what date they are, but please come to the fire station because unfortunately our hearts are bigger than our minds, and we can't say no and turn off the switch. And we've got well over 100 kids coming to the summer camp, so
Started at 20.
Yeah, say it started, it's really big.
That's where we're getting our volunteers in.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice program.
It really is. It is. A lot of work, a lot of work, but
Although it didn't take my
It's,
grandson but one day to figure out he wasn't gonna be a fireman.
it's good.
There's a lot of it. wasn't.
That it?
That sounds like it. If
All right,
everybody else
all
is
right.
happy with that. Thank you, James. Enjoy
So-
your evening.
Sounds good.
Yes. And we,
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pass these out, but this is for your reading pleasure when you get home. It's not for here. So I was debating on even handing them out here, but put that in your folder and walk away with it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and if you have any questions, give me a call.
Thanks, sir.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you. Going with these two?
Does it have numbers on it?
Well, a little, but
she doesn't like words.
it's more or less educational, but at the end, it's followed up with a few numbers, so.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, you guys have a great evening.
You too.
Yeah, thank you.
See,
Okay, we're right on schedule here. Randy, if you want to come on up, you can stand up. You can step between over here and act like you're one of us, whatever you wish to do.
I'm Randy Ritchie, for those of you who haven't met, going on a year and a half, I think, so still getting my feet wet. I threw something together, Tish, sorry, it doesn't have numbers on everything.
It's all right.
Waiting
I
on-
feel like I've been married to you for 40 years.
Too long, right?
waiting on the quotes for some of them,
Thanks, sir.
maybe you want one. I can
That's okay. You go on, yeah, sit down right here.
I can walk you through them. Mainly, it's a lot of what I can't get with the budget I currently have, and what I hear mostly from the public. I put on here. I can walk you through it. The first one is the girls softball field at Linsegram. I think that has held water by first base since I was a kid. They've several complaints. Every time it rains, that's the last field they can use. So I did have a quote, and it's $8,500. They'll put a French drain in. Second one is the Warrior Reservation. Again, those doors there, they're not ones you just go out and buy. They have to be custom made, but you go by there, it's been the same doors for quite a while. I've tightened it just a little bit of time I've been here with different screws and stuff, and they're about ready to fall off. $3,500 to replace that. A recent one, and I'm trying to keep up with these playground equipment and stuff, but as you guys know, a lot of it's outdated. The one last year that we replaced, you couldn't even buy equipment for it anymore, so we replaced it. I think, what was it? Yeah, 40-something thousand.
Yeah.
The slide, I'm waiting on her to get back with me. I mean, some slides run $4,000 to $14,000 from what I found out. So this is the one at the splash park. I'm not for sure how old that equipment is. But she'll tell me whether we can replace it or just put a like block wall up just to close it off is like $400 if they don't make those anymore. Next one is the gazebo at the lake. There's a lot of different pictures, but to me, that's some safety concerns there. Don't know how long the gazebo has been in or what kind of refurbishment it's had over the years, but it really needs refurbished, redone. I didn't add the benches just because by the time I found out we was having a meeting, getting this all together. But this is the same as the wooden benches throughout the parks. To me, we're gonna have this stuff in the parks to have nice stuff. It takes a budget of people So I'm trying to replace it with something that's less maintenance, metal benches with the boards that don't warp and stuff. But I'm waiting on 3 quotes back for this gazebo, and I'll get you guys the prices. Same thing on the bridge, the Lake Bridge right back past the gazebo. We replace boards and put screws in it as we go, but then you have to buy stain. I mean, it takes people to go do it when they get them off the mowers and weed eaters. Next one, the fountain at the lake, the big one, went bad.
I'm sorry, Randy, could I interrupt you for
Yes,
a
ma'am.
second? You said the Lake Iowa Bridge, and that's also, there were benches there on the.
There's
what was that,
benches.
in the
There's a lot of-
gazebo?
There's a lot of benches throughout all of our parks. I just didn't get a chance to get a count on the wooden benches.
Okay, I'll just make a second note with just benches. Thank you.
The big fountain at the lake went bad, it pumps out. I haven't quoted. The new one's 2,700. So we still have the little one going. But if we want to replace it, that's what it is. I did go with a different type with the guy told me it doesn't have to be taken out every year or taken out and power washed. It has a cage around it, so it should be less maintenance on it. Beechwood, Little League will be using that park next year a lot more. So, I mean, if you go drive by Beechwood, again, that park is less used. That fields always look rough. I would like to see it in better shape all the time too. Try our best. I have volunteers that come and help me do it. We just recently sprayed it. But with them using it, then I can have their help next year with dragging it and adding conditioner, but there's hardly any conditioner on the field. It's just almost like mud. But I want to repaint the bleachers, add a roof over the bleachers, and paint the dugouts, and do a little bit of field work. Like I'd like to get 2 skids of conditioner. I haven't got all that pricing. I can possibly paint the bleachers and dugout myself, but I'm not going to sign up for that. I'd rather get it quoted, but that's all the things I would like to do there at Beechwood Park to have that used more next year by the Little League. The handicap swing for Beechwood, that's $1,200. It's the last quote I got. I think I've had 2 or 3 people that's asked for that there. And the last thing, so this was my first winter with the parks, and you guys seen what we had. So we didn't have anything to clear the trails with, so Bill Meadows brought his side-by-side in, which was pretty nice of him to do 2 different times, and cleaned all the trails off through Moonglow. The whole walking trails. And his has a heater in it, so it was pretty nice. But the 3rd time, it was just, I told him I didn't want to risk him tearing it up because he broke 1 cable on his plow, and I didn't want him doing that again. But it is a, safety thing. We have trees down all the time through the winter. I don't want to send nobody out in the cold or snow with what we have. And then they break down, down all the way down by Beehive or something. They have to walk back. But the one time we didn't get them cleared, the last snow, I had several complaints. So why didn't we get them cleared? So I had to explain to them we didn't have anything. We have a snow plow truck, and you just can't skid steer. I think Matt tried one year to use the skid steer around the lake, and it almost went in the lake. So, but that's now, can we find it cheaper? Possibly. Bill bought his cheaper, but he added everything on afterwards. I don't have a bunch of bills to.
Well, big snow like that, a big snow, this thing is not gonna do it. You're gonna have problems with it. I know Billy has, I have on mine.
You have the same thing.
Yeah. They don't have heat in it or anything, but.
So, I think Billy's is 900. His did pretty well on whatever the most we got.
Right.
So,
And I think for you and me meeting with the mayor and Jill, because they had met with the department heads, were you kind of thinking 150,000 on miscellaneous repairs or something in that range? Did you,
I think that's what,
or so, yeah, just anything you could get would help, and then maybe the next year do some of, yeah, if,
yeah, I'm looking, I mean, I didn't put our mowers in here or anything. Some of those are 12, 13 years old. I'm trying to work out something with a dealer that we can replace them every 5 years or something. You know, manufacturing background that I come from, that's what we just had a replacement plan in place. The mowers are it's gonna get to where you spend more money on keeping them up. And we're very lucky to have a Matt McNear that services them all instead of having to send it out to service for $100 an hour.
I don't think this is very much money, but we've also talked about putting music around Lake Iowa and be able to have different genres. So
So,
Music, like a music venue or just
no, it's
speakers,
just speakers playing music.
like the people that walk around there now with their little earbuds in, listening to music and whatever.
like Walmart, when we go in, they were playing the patriotic there on the 4th of July.
Different things that I would like to, in the future. I haven't, sit down and put it all on. But you guys been to Columbus Park, Franklin Park in Columbus. My boy did a lot of travel baseball for years. There's a lot of stuff that we could be doing to bring money into our parks. They have automated batting cages where it's not even manned. It's just, you go put money in a vending machine and get a bunch of tokens and they're lined up. If you go to a baseball tournament, they're lined up. I hate to say what they're bringing in just for that. But those investments could be bringing back in a lot. And then just hosting tournaments themselves. I mean, we have the All-Star tournament coming up this weekend, so I think we're missing out on stuff there.
I have one question.
Yes,
Jan,
ma'am.
you had mentioned 150,000. Does that 150,000 include these items? Or do you need 150,000 be on these items?
No,
That would
It
be like you
includes-
think 150 would take care of all these items.
Including the side by side?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think I might have put those separate too, so
Okay.
then we can take that off, but see, included in, we just found 25,000.
again, I think if we look around, I can definitely try to get that cheaper, but I wanted to
Well,
throw
and
the worst case scenario out there, so.
I think the city is always, we've taken pride in trying to get the departments the equipment that they need, and the life of anything is just replacing it and maintenance, and I agree with Matt. And, Randy runs the parks with just 2 full-time people, and he's got his 2 part-timers that are the 28 hours a week, so. And speaking with him, I think we've worked out, like what he has in payroll, that will work with Tish's calculations, and so I think we're good there.
Do you have an idea how much the roof would cost for the bleachers?
No, we have, what I'm thinking, Kevin, we have a lot of aluminum already in the 3-bay over there, so I'm thinking some of the wood and stuff we already have, but I'm gonna say 5 to 8. If I can get somebody to do it for me and use our, so just to, if you look at that bridge that got torn down and rebuilt there at Beechwood, I think it was 7,500. So.
We probably did that 2
The
years
bridge,
ago.
remember the old one that got tore down, and that new one that got built, the overhead bridge?
Huh.
That, was right when I started, they was doing
I
that,
was gonna
What's
say,
the reason for putting a roof over the bleachers?
keep the fans out of the sun.
I'm saying, I've been to a lot of those parks you're talking about, and I don't know, they don't seem to worry about the fans in the sun, but they do have, which I think is nice, catch net
Yes,
to catch the
Yeah.
foul balls, which,
I guess there was
Very good
netting
idea.
there, catch netting there at one time, and it's all fell down, so I wanna work.
I don't remember one ever being like I've seen nowadays that really kind of protect the stands and stuff, and the public.
They didn't used to have it going down the street there for a long time. I think they might have added it after a number of years, but I used to, you cringe every time I hit a foul ball because
Right.
nobody parked down there. If they did, it was that.
Oh,
risk
you
of
gotta
losing
stand in the
windshield.
car for sure. Now they got to use it, go quite a ways out from the fence, from the pitcher's fence out, filter the ball back in. Those are very nice.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Yes, I have a question here. Is there any plan in the future to keep the water off the baseball field? I mean, it leaks, it's always wet down there. It comes off that road with the dugout is, it comes onto the field, it comes off the bleachers. Because we ran that softball league, me, my wife and them did, we had 15, 16 games every summer. And we even played out here at, Wilson Nichols Park before. And I was just wondering, how come we don't have softball teams anymore? Because the field, you can't use it half the time. I just wonder if there's anything we can do to keep that. I mean, we talked to Jerry many times. The water comes off that road when it rains and comes out the dugout and comes right onto the field
I can get the same
on the
guy
first base side.
to look at the softball field that I did, the girls at Little League that's held water for years too, because that's the same scenario over there, Rick.
Mhm.
I mean, that back field at the Little League Park has held water for years. Beechwood,
Oh, yeah.
to me, yes, it does need worked on, but it doesn't get used. I mean, I don't even know when the last time conditioner's been added to that field. You should be able to take on a little bit of water and it drain towards home plate.
It
I
don't
agree.
drain, I'll tell you, believe me, we fought that water down there for many years.
But I can absolutely, I mean, I can make a phone call and add that to, I still think we should maybe be able to fit it in.
Well, I've got a lot of people talk to me, wanting to get softball going on back there, but we can't, we good about the water, that's the problem. I think there's enough interest because, that was the place to be on Sunday.
The last two phone calls I've got, haven't mentioned the water, but they want to sign a waiver and not pay or do the insurance.
But that's how we did it, we signed waivers and it worked out fine for all the years
I think
we had.
that's,
Because we didn't pay for the field, the thing was, we drug the field, we lined the field, all they did was mow the field. But then we had waivers, I guess now you can't use waivers anymore.
from my understanding, no.
No, our insurance recommends that it's a certificate of insurance.
Okay,
So with the Little League having that, they're gonna use that field a lot more next year. We're hoping to get tournaments and add that field to the tournament. But
And the Little
yes,
League does provide a certificate of insurance.
I wonder how much that cost. I mean,
So if they're gonna use a field at Beechwood, you have to move the fence in, the outfield fence?
not necessarily. There's fields that my son played on that was, sometimes they'll put netting in.
What about the decking down here, Lake Iola? Is that gonna be composite decking you're thinking, or what?
I would like to have something less maintenance like that. I'm gonna get different quotes, Mark, to make sure we can fit it in the budget. Anything I can do is less maintenance, because it is hard to keep up with.
Oh, I totally agree, but Lake Iola, to me, needs some attention, because that's probably one of the biggest draws to Scottsburg.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I don't know, it just seems like it's been a little bit neglected here over the last 4 or 5 years.
Is there anything specific that,
Well, when I walked around
as
it,
far as?
back there where the covered bridge is, some of the roofing was missing off of it. Of course, this thing was a mess, the gazebo, little bridge to go over the spillway. And this has been
No,
a while back, not since.
I like to hear, I mean,
But
because I do get a lot of good compliments how the lake looks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cosmetic is the same thing I see.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the landscaping, and that's a full-time job itself with spraying.
Oh, yeah,
weeding.
totally understand that. I was down there the other night weed eating around the short end of it, because there was weeds on the banks that were probably 2-3 feet tall that nobody had gotten yet. So I went down there and weeded. I live a couple houses up from the lake.
Yeah.
And I got a neighbor next to me that, if the lake's not right, she's giving me a call. And, she'll even complain that the fountains aren't on.
I had that,
So-
somebody asked me yesterday, what happened to the fountain?
Yeah.
We have
It's
the
a
same
guy
thing
that
that you
runs
have
all the
daily,
time.
and
Yeah.
that's why I kind of picked, I have my lake people, we have our Beechwood people, our baseball people. But,
Yeah.
they want, you got two, me, including me, I'm the second full-time person.
Sure.
And you guys, I come from 31 years of manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna have nice parks, you gotta have people and you gotta have a budget.
Yeah.
You can't throw a bunch of benches out there and gazebos and say they're gonna last forever.
Correct.
And the lake gets treated every 2 weeks. And there's some weeds that have to be left in there. That's why they don't spray for them all the time.
Yeah.
And so we don't go all the way down to the lake all the time, but we weeded and sprayed 4 times already.
Well, I appreciate getting the weeds out, a little water, because I was getting some conversation about that.
And if you would,
So-
I had the guy start adding a yellow tag. And I went through this last year, my first year, I had everybody bombarding me.
Yeah.
And then aquatic control treats that every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
But there's certain times of the year they cannot spray that, those lilies and weeds. They have to wait until they bloom. So I have him put that on that yellow
Sure.
tag so people can see when they walk around.
But yeah, I mean, the lake needs some attention.
Cosmetically, I had it, the other thing I haven't even added yet because you can't do it all in 1 year. And I've been here just a little over a year. The playground equipment, again, I had a lady come in that works for Miracle Playground, and I don't know what the city has done over the years, but that's supposed to be inspected every year by somebody that can inspect playgrounds. And has that ever been brought up or happened?
Not that I'm aware of.
So you got a hamburger over there in the playground that's been there for how long?
Tish can tell you, her kids loved it.
And I
37
I
years.
take
at
pride in
least.
what I do. I'm very OCD about how clean. You come and look at my house, my yard. I want the same thing.
Yeah.
But spend the day with us also is what I would challenge you to also. Because it's not easy. I shoveled 8 scoops of mulch myself today at Beechwood. And we need the same thing at the lake.
If I wasn't working 6 days a week, I'd come
Yeah.
join you.
But I will eventually just put the playground stuff on the list too, because I believe it needs replaced. And I'm guessing that's probably been there come from the old McDonald's is what I was told.
Yeah.
The original McDonald's.
Yes.
That was
It may
built
be
in
worth enough to cover this
1979.
budget.
Is
That's
when
where it's
that
from, yeah.
McDonald's opened, and that was there. When they remodeled and added the fun area is when the hamburger work moved over to Lake Howard.
47 years old then.
Yeah, yes.
There's a guy down in Kentucky somewhere, that's got his whole lawn decorated with that stuff.
Really?
And I guess it's something else people blocked it. That pump, is that a necessary thing, or, is that helping with filtration or anything of the lake?
No,
Or is it just for looks?
for looks as far as what I know.
Didn't know if it help aerate.
No, it has aerators in them already. There's 2 of those.
Is anybody ever done with Randy? Any more questions? Thank you, Randy, for what
Thank
you've
you
done.
guys.
We
I
were,
appreciate it.
we were glad to be able to work with you last year too, to get some of those repairs and find money in other
Thank
places.
you.
Again, those repairs that he was able to do last year came from all of it did not come from his budget. So in some of the other funds, we were able to do just how he was able to get that. So
Thank you guys.
we
Thank you,
we
Randy.
appreciate it, Randy.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya.
See ya.
See if you see Chief Harold out there, because See, James was 536, and Steve Harold,
Somebody came in, but I don't know who it was.
okay. You know, this,
I heard him come in.
he's here. Welcome, Chief Harold. I will add while he's getting his stuff together, Animal, I had thought of scheduling them tonight because they are doing a really nice job down there. We're getting a lot of compliments on our animal shelter and the people working there. They have, like everybody else, a lot of wants. We've been very fortunate this year in that a very local citizen has made donations of $23,000 to our animal shelter. So there's some of the needs that he and Ed has told the mayor, and when Mayor and Jill met with them. So we're gonna work on that more next week and see what we can get done in using those donations. But then you will probably see some of that added to our want list that you all will be reviewing. Okay, yours, floor is yours.
Well, guys, I guess I'm here to ask for money too. That's the best way. I know you guys are tired of hearing it, but our place needs people. That's the long, short version of it, and we're not staying competitive. We had a really good start out this year. We had a real good start out on trying to hire, but we've had 5 go ahead and leave for other departments, or 5 go ahead and leave the process for other places that paid higher, and that it is what it is at that point. But we've been running short. We were 3 short to begin the year. This past month, we've been running 6 short with some injuries and surgeries and stuff. Unfortunately, the best way I can put it is that it's crippling our overtime, and it's crippling the guys because they're not able to take their vacations, and they've been great about it. They've got to the point where they're just saying, hey, just put us in wherever you can if we've got extra people working today. But we're 24 hours a day. We've got, it takes about 7 people to be there. And we've been running 10 or 11 for the last month. It's not been good. I went ahead, I know I emailed you guys out. I don't know if you saw them or not. Basically, my requests were to try to bring our base salary up to about $60,000 to make it competitive. And then I had another for some promotion for next year because we've had several of the guys leave, but this year I don't think it's possible for me to even work it into the budget for where we're at on. Then it also asked to raise the night shift differential to keep those guys happy on nights, because if not, they're going to choose to go somewhere else. That's the way it's been. Again, the last 5 years, we've not been at full staff over 2 months in 5 years straight. And then the final thing was before, like about 12 years ago, when they gave me the job as being detective, you got Monday through Friday basically, and then you worked stuff. You worked weekends. You just came in whenever you needed to work cases on top of the Monday through Friday. But that was kind of the schedule was kind of the get and give for doing the extra work. But the last 6-7 years, we've not even, Greg and I are both still, we're doing all the investigating and major cases as chief and assistant chief on top of everything else. So I was trying to get it, I was trying to figure out a way to reward somebody. I've got 2 guys that I've been sending through several trainings for death investigations and for general investigations, trying to find some way to reward them. The best way I could come up with was a stipend system. That way, if they didn't work out, we didn't have to pull anything. We could just take them off the stipend, put somebody else on without having to do anything major. Mainly, I sent everything out to you guys. There was so much I had. I was open to come tonight and answer any questions you guys had.
Is that the same copy of what you sent us?
Yes.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yeah.
I haven't printed it out yet. I still got it on my email.
I'm looking at it.
I got 2 of them. I need one.
So
Need one.
before anybody else asks questions, I just want to confirm that for that, a detective stipend, you were thinking 300 a month times 2, correct? Okay,
It was basically 7,200 a year for the 2
and that's okay. And Tisha's doing calculations Not that we don't trust yours, but then there comes all the other benefits on top of it, you know.
Well, again,
it's-
in the promotions, I had that about $1,500 times 4. And, the night shift differential was 4 at 1,200.
Say that last sentence again.
The night shift was 4 at 1,200 per year.
So
4,800,
4,800
4,800
total,
for the
yes.
year. So 18,000 for those three things, and then we've got 6 first-class patrolmen. That was like 300, so that was, I think we figured that, then we changed it 18,000 to get them up to 60,000. So right at 56.
To take the first class patrolman to 60,000 for the 6 people that we have, will cost $38,000. The time you do the perf and the longevity that goes with that. That was that's a quick estimate, so I didn't,
You didn't put all the numbers in for everything.
no, I just looked at perf,
Just put-
all I did was change the first class patrolman number and watch what happened, and took the difference. I didn't go back through the whole spreadsheet that I do for payroll, so it's probably gonna be a little bit more than that, but that kind of gives you an idea. It would be, I would say, upward of 40,000 to do that, because of what happens, it's just not those 6 people. All the other police officers get longevity, and it's based on first-class patrolman's rate. And all the perf that the city pays to the state is based on that first-class patrolman rate. And so when that number is increased, it affects these other things. These guys wouldn't be getting an extra 40,000. The city, it was just gonna cost the city an extra 40 because of going to different places. It would go to all the officers across the board in terms of longevity, and the state would get a bigger chunk of the perf. And that's mandated, you don't have a choice in that. But I'll calculate that and send it out. So Steve, what I'm gonna do is, and what Jan shared at the beginning of the meeting, any of these things that have to do with like payroll or something, I'll run it through, and then they'll get how the total will affect, because there's other things that get tacked onto that. It's not gonna be a whole lot on me, because you guys don't pay the same payroll taxes. The city doesn't pay the same on them as they do for other employees, so I'll run those numbers and give them, they'll get emailed an exact number, rounded up to the nearest $100.
Yeah, we already talked about it. We knew that it's a different calculation that you gotta try to put together.
And Hardin tried, he tried one year.
Can't be done by him.
He tried.
Can't be done by Steve and not done by us.
So my guess was about 5.5% plus another 1.5% area to
Yeah.
cover the run.
Yes, it's,
He's a lot closer than Dave would be. I can agree.
And
It
it was
wasn't,
it's right at 5.01 or something like that, something like that.
So you're close.
And then their perf rate is going up at the state. You
The
might
state-
mention that.
I was gonna go through a list of those, once Steve's gone,
Okay,
and
okay.
kind of let these guys know. Again, that has nothing to do with our police department, that has to do with the state. And our police department should be punished for
What the
what the
state does.
state does, yeah.
I know, like I say, I know this is a lot to throw at you, but do you guys have any questions over any of it?
I had a question when I read this the first time the other day, and I just couldn't remember, it hit me here. I noticed the state police was lateral. How many officers have you lost to the state police?
We haven't lost any to the state police, but that's one of the things. They just started, they moved the lateral down to where they only have to go to 8 weeks to do the academy. That was kind of the big prohibitive thing before. You got a guy that's been there 5 or 6 years. He doesn't want to go back through the whole state police academy. Well, they've got to cut down where it's 8 weeks now. And unfortunately, that's one of the things I hear our younger guys going. And we actually had a couple during the interviews that basically said they wanted to get their foot in the door and then go to the state police in 3 years, which again is cost prohibitive to us. From the time we began a process, we get somebody out the door between their salary for the year, all their equipment and everything, it's about $100,000 for us to get one started and going. I mean, their whole first year It's basically a training phase till they're out of the academy.
And what me and the chief talked about now that the state has put in that if you go to the academy and somebody poaches you, they have to pay that entity back. Departments are now looking to pay the entities back that they're poaching from the academy. They don't care anymore. It's worth them to poach somebody that's paying less to the department once they get to the academy to pay that entity the cost of the academy.
And
They
the,
don't care.
and the comparables that I put on there, that's who we're actually competing against. Like sheriff's departments, we can lose people to sheriff's departments, but they can hire anybody up into their 60s. You know, there's no limits on them. Ours are all through perf. They have to be 40 years or less, and they have to pass everything. It's a very long process. They have to pass through the physical and psychological. And I hate to say it, in this world, there's only so few people want to do this anymore.
Where are you losing most of your people to? What departments?
So we lost one to Madison, just read Madison was Ryan Ware, then Joe went to Seymour, lost one to Brian, to Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. That's our most recent three that lost to other departments.
And then your new hires, who'd they go to? The ones that you were gonna hire, where did they go?
One was going to Floyd County, one was
County.
going to Clarksville. I think the other one was Sellersburg.
Same with Sellersburg, wasn't it? Yeah. So that's out of there. That's the people that he just offered positions to.
Well, they were in our
But
process.
they're in our process.
They
yeah,
withdrew
they're-
from our process.
Yeah, they withdrew from the process to go there.
Is that just because of pay?
They got offered the job and the pay is quite a bit better.
So you said Floyd County, and where else? The other three?
Clarksville.
Clarksville and Sellersburg.
$13,000, $12,000 more.
Okay, I'll ask a stupid question. I'm sure you're not surprised at that. How do those, I mean, I know we all are familiar with all these towns. You know, driving through them and going to them and being familiar with living in this part of the country. From your opinion, from a police officer's perspective, how does, I mean, obviously, you know, if you're going to be a police officer across the river, that's a whole different job, going 30 miles down the road than it is up here.
Most definitely.
I'm trying to look at it through somebody's eyes that's wanting to leave, or not come here, or vice versa. For lack of a better way of putting it, even though we're looking at the money, what's the environment like, the job environment like in these other places? I mean, how does that compare? Because obviously if your environment's worse, you're going to expect more money.
Most of the comparables I gave you, again, like Jeff and those, they're much larger, that's different animal, but the Salem, Madison, so us, it's all about the same.
And Salem's never been more than us, ever. They were $10,000 less than us.
That's been 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
ago.
I mean, the last comparable that I did before I left, I think they were 15 below us. And they've jumped above us now. And they don't have to deal with I-65 running right through their back door. Any other questions, the Chief Harold? And Kevin, that's not a dumb question. I mean, that's a valid question. That's the question. Why are they leaving? Most of the time, as we all say, is that if I can make more money someplace else, I can kick in a door here tonight and get shot. There's no difference in going down there. If they're gonna pay me $20,000 more, I'll go kick in a door down there.
And I didn't try to really skew this. Like I say, I sent this one to you. And if you wanna look at the base salaries throughout the rest of the state, I've included.
I've seen that on there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're,
You need this?
no, you.
I was gonna save my paper then.
Yeah, that's like your
You're
thing.
welcome. Like I say, that's, I printed those to show you that I'm not trying to, you'll find that
It
there's a
is
lot
cherry
more
picking.
than, there's a lot more 70s, 80s, 90s and 100s than there are 50s and 60s right now.
And with that latter list you asked about, Kevin, if the state police get another matrix raise, where those guys can get to 5 years and they're starting out at $95,000 and just writing tickets, I'll go do that for $35,000 more dollars and not.
Like I say, the
Like
last I heard, they was somewhere supposed to get close to 20 grand.
Yeah,
Or
more,
20% more.
more, 20% more. If that, and that's our, I guess in our Senate Bill 1 is where all that money came from, but they've got a real chance of getting that.
I think everybody's faced with this too, because like you said, you don't want people who don't want to go maybe into that type of profession, but I think that all started across the whole economy whenever you started raising some of the wages for some of these other jobs. Everybody else wanted more money too, and I think that goes right along with that.
Well, I get tickled every time that we put it on Facebook. You have all your negative comments, then you'll have 3 or 4 go, why would I do that? I make more than at the factory I'm at right now.
Yeah.
You just work on through it.
Good point.
I say, sorry, I'm not a great public speaker. I tried to put it as best I could on paper for you.
Anything else, Steve? Is this time up?
Yeah. Well, you probably got more time, but I think you answered our questions, so.
I don't have anything else that I can ask. I hate coming and asking for money, but that's, right now, it seems to be the only thing gonna solve the problems we've been having. Thank you guys for listening to me.
Thank
you. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Good to see you, Steve.
She's out there, and we send him on in.
Pardon? Nobody. There's nobody else.
When you say send in,
Uh-huh.
I'd say Jeremy.
Well, we were just gonna see 3 of them and 4 with Emily. And, yeah, I don't go out there.
I didn't hear anybody else
Animal, we still had too many unknowns with Animal to have him come.
About water.
They're not budgeted.
They're not, they're on.
They're
They're not
utilities,
budgeted.
they're rate based. Yeah. They're controlled by a board, they have a water board, all the other utilities.
And
Just
control,
like-
the only one left then.
We didn't bring stormwater in because we know that's gonna be changing. We didn't bring sanitation in. Emily did that on behalf of them. Street's pretty happy. I don't think they had given much wants and all of that to Jill at the time, so we didn't bring Junior in. Junior's very good to come to me anytime before he's trying to upgrade again. All the equipment is kind of helps keep us good workers. And there was something he recently wanted to buy and I was able to work with him and he does try to get decent, good prices for us. And then we work out of local road and streets. I think we had enough money with using money out of there. So that's the reason MVH wouldn't have been here. We're working with Stacy on IT, with her expense line, because that's part of ours in there. Have we missed anybody else? The mayor and the clerk? I mean,
I don't see anything else with the animal. I think that's pretty much everything that we've seen. I'm gonna mention a few things. Last year, you guys had to make a tough decision and cut, I forget how many 100,000 we cut.
750, I thought.
It was a bunch.
Yeah.
And so, the good news is you won't have to cut this year. So obviously people came in and you're gonna get this list emailed to you and it's gonna have these things and they're all gonna have dollar amounts. And you're gonna be able to decide, which of these things happen. And based on, obviously the list is gonna be greater than the amount of money. The new tax dollars, based on a 6% growth rate, and then I factor in a 15% circuit breaker increase, which is a little high, but it also covers Senate Bill 1, what those credits to the taxpayers will cost the city. That's gonna be about a little over 120,000 of new tax dollars based on property tax. The other good thing is that stormwater is now up and on its way. It will become an enterprise, and that means it had a budget of a little over 251,000. So now we were already budgeting that. And so now you've got, that money can come into next year. So you've got 251,000 plus 120. Then the third good piece, and this is, I'm going to say this, the third good piece is for 2026, not 2027. But for 2026, a couple ways you could do it, but we received a supplemental lit payment this past month, the city did, and it's in excess of 186,000. So what you can do is some of these things, you can say, you know, let's go ahead and do not these payroll items, but say things with parks or a piece of equipment or a truck or some of these one-time expenses could be paid out of your rainy day this year. And you have that to slide in there in December 31st to repay the rainy day, to keep the rainy day steady. So you don't have to, there won't be an additional appropriation, none of that paperwork. This will be a way you can go ahead and let some of these things happen now. And so when you get this list and you see these one-time things, you say, well, wait a minute, we could go ahead and take care of these park things or some of these other items that people have requested, and do that with this year's money. It wouldn't be recurring things, but it would be one-time expenses. So,
Tish, could I throw in there now, what we've spent out of rainy day to date is 125,000. And speaking with Kevin the other day, he asked me, and we can spend anything on rainy day that is in our other budgets. When you ask the prerequisites, now on that one, what that 125,000 was for cameras at the parks. So like Randy said, a lot of these things you need, you don't have in your budget. So that, when you look at that, as Tish is directing, that we would still have 375,000.
So that's what you've looked at so far with the being mid-year, that's where we're at.
right, and we do not have the road tax money yet. We don't have any of the numbers from the state from all the small taxes. We have the numbers of the city and their revenue collection, which is basically pretty flat. It's compared to last year, it's pretty much what we expected. And so that's good. That's not down. We have some new little caveats though. We have a new fire station that has to have utilities. That's, 15,000. And that's just an estimate. So I'm going to rattle off a few things. So when you get this list, these things are going to be on this list as a must, that we have to do these things because they are real expenses that have come to the city and they're recurring and you have to fund them. The stormwater, guess what? The city had to pay that too. It was $27,800. So that's a new tax that the city has to pay, that stormwater fee. It's not a tax, a stormwater fee, and the city has to pay it on all of its property. And that's the city share, not the utilities. 27,800. And these are all going to be in a list. So I just kind of want you to know that they're going to, these are all the ones that are over 10,000. I'm going to mention to you. So fuel, the gas prices, we have 4 departments that are going to need more fuel money based on what has happened to the gas prices. And some of that has to do with maybe they have more employees now. There's other things that kind of built up to that, and that comes up to 25,000. Stormwater's 27.8. The fire station's over 15. The phone bills, when the city moved to this building, prior, the electric department had paid the phone bills for years because I don't know. It worked.
Well, it worked, but I don't think we could call 911. Luckily, it was cheap, but yeah.
That's like $12,000. Gotta have phones. The state has increased the PERF for the fire and the police. That's gonna cost the city $50,000, 2.2%. And then we always budget in a health insurance increase. Last year we did 11%. And so if I do that 11% again for this upcoming year, it would be 45,000. And we do not have any indication yet from our health insurance. Sometimes they give us something because they know we're trying to do budget.
We're going to be meeting with them in the next couple of weeks. I don't know. Yeah. So we might have something for the process.
So that, yeah, 45,000.
45,000, 11%.
If we do an 11% increase, but it might only be 5, over the years that we budgeted anywhere between 5 and 15, depending on what the wind, how the wind was blowing. And, so that's, those are some big numbers that are gonna eat into this $370,000. And another one is today, so two of those, the health insurance and the PERF, that's just under $100,000 that you're gonna have to have before any raises in payroll. Those are big chunks. Now, we might get some good news on some health insurance and that may come down. So just know that there's some big things out there that we're gonna have to do before you get to pick some of these other items that you want to pick. And the payroll ones, we'll do the calculations. And if anyone gets us any new numbers in, we'll get those in. There's some smaller ones, you know, the hydrant rentals, they found another hydrant or two, and we gotta pay that. The city pays that to the water department. And so that's all I really have. We should, and then by the 15th, the state should have released the rest of the numbers. And we will be able to give you firmer information, but we'll continue to work on this list. And so probably right after the 15th, we're gonna drop you an email that says, here's the things that are in the must, here's the things that were presented as wants, and here's how much money it looks like that we're playing with, that you can make a decision. And I will also calculate a percentage or two of a raise so that you would know what that would be, and how that would affect. Again, we have some moving pieces because stormwater is coming out, so I've got to I can't compare this payroll because that's 95,000 that's gonna come out. That can kind of be used back into payroll again, because payroll's ongoing. So that's kind of a good thing that we can use that towards a raise, or basically to cover these two things that are the health insurance and the PERF increase. So,
Now, out of our fees also, that 250 comes back to us for the next, how long do they pay it back for over a time frame?
this was just their budget.
That's what I'm saying, that's just their budget, but then they still owe us for the last 2 years, correct? Or do
Right,
we not
and
get
that's
them paid
probably
back?
gonna be,
I didn't look back to see.
But we don't know how much it's gonna be reimbursed at a time.
No, because
over a
we
time frame.
transferred some of that money last year that really, we
it
did some
had to be
transfers
paid,
out of there.
before the stormwater account existed, it was paid out of
Everything.
everything. And so we gotta go back and find some of these projects that were done. So we gotta go back and find those projects, put them all back together, make a list. And Jan and I estimated that they would either be able to pay it back this year or this year, next year,
Okay.
because of the amount of the stormwater fee that they receive. They receive it in June and December, but realize when they become an enterprise and they have their own checking account, they've got to make it from one payment to the next. They don't have the luxury of sharing a bank account with the general fund and,
Utilities and everything.
yes, and everybody, yeah, they're gonna be on their own, and so they have to have enough money in the bank. They have to have 6 months worth of reserves because they get paid twice a year. It's not like water where they get money every month, electric where they get money every month.
At the end of 6 months, they spent 90,000.
Yes,
So
so they're gonna have to pay
180
that
somewhere,
back,
yeah,
and they
plus
have,
whatever last year was.
the total receipts estimated for them for this year.
Close to 700,000.
So-
675.
So that money's gonna come back, and so Richie, I can make a note of that. That could go back to replace the rainy day,
Right,
again, for
yeah.
one
So that's what
time.
I'm saying, for the one time, that's what I'm thinking, that covers that's why I asked, because I think it covers part of your rainy day that you're paying back for those bits.
Yes, I'm gonna make a note of that, to put that on there to calculate.
That 12,000, I remember whenever you had that, you presented that and you was having the phone system was not very good. But how does that 12,000, is that an annual thing? Is that an annual
We
increase?
pay by the month, and we divided it. Stacy provided all the number of phones, and we looked at that, like, and divided it by electric, water, sewer, and broadband, and the percentages of number of phones that they had. It put each utility paying that bill for 1 month, and it's right around 1,600, I was thinking, maybe not that much, 12, 14, 15. So each utility paid it for the first 4 months, and then the city, because of the number of phones we have, we're paying it the rest of the year for 8 months. So that's where she's coming up.
12,000, that's basically your, what, $1,500 a month that you're all having to pay?
Yes, yeah.
Because of the amount of phones that you all have.
Yes, and anytime when I can find it in my own computer, I can show you how we broke that down and did it the percentages. And, yeah,
There'll be some other smalls. Realized last year we did the city hall budget, because this is now city hall. And it was a stab in the dark of how much was it really gonna cost once everybody moved out here, and the electric bills and the water bills. And so we've got some of these notes down, and so that you might see something that showed up and you say, well, what's this about city hall? Well, we haven't gotten through all these little lines to see.
What's brought over
Right,
from the
June.
old to the new.
June 30th just happened, and we haven't looked at the utilities, the things that are associated with this building's budget. There will be expect a few things that are just gonna show up, toilet paper and all that stuff's not free, and we just kind of guessed. I won't say guessed, we took the Mass Park budget, pulled it over and kind of put it with the board of what was used to do City Hall, and kind of just shoved it in and hoped
it was a
would work.
guesstimate. We
It was a
just, yeah.
guesstimate. And
We
so
found-
you may see some of those show up on your list too. I know that we have just, some miscellaneous supplies and just stuff that comes up, buckets and light bulbs and stuff that has come in that costs more than what you would expect with the size of this building compared to that. Yeah, because everything that gets paid out of that city hall budget is for this entire building. And realize that includes the banquet hall and the caretaking of this. So, there may be some, 5,000 here or 10,000 here on some utilities and some supplies and services, that come with this building.
Because we're minus 20% in that line right now, halfway
Supplies.
through the year. Mhm.
The city of Scottsburg on Mass Park, this is not a money pit anymore. It had been a money pit for a long time, but it's not now.
Right, we're using it. Yeah, it's being used and yeah.
The money pit right now, I think, is Macomb.
It's gonna be.
And I think it was an 8,000 as well.
I looked, and it looked like there was something that had been posted, and I couldn't tell for sure if that had been Bacala's or not. I just found the one train, and I think there may be another one with another company. There may have been a second.
Yeah, there was one, I think maybe more, yeah,
like
might have been
30,000?
there. It's, yeah,
I
we
ran
did.
across the 30,000, but I didn't have time to
Dive in to see
dive
where
into it
it's
to make sure, and I didn't want to mention that number. It's that, and the other one that's on the
at. Verizon.
horizon is the depot. The city no longer is sitting across the depot, the city owns the depot, and the rent previously had been just enough to kind of keep it on going, and realize, 10 years ago, people rented that building to, they used that, for events, you went there for receptions, you went there for parties, and now there's other places that people can do those things at, and, so that building that fund is slowly, it's about 30,000 right now. Probably started, the depot last year was at 34,000 at the beginning of the year, and it's at pushing 30,000 now. So it's moving down too. And so either more renters or
That's what it brought in last year?
no, that's what,
That's
it's
started.
fund balance. So this had a balance, operating a fund that its budget is done out of every year. And that has always gone up until recently, and then it started going down. And so it's gone down about $4,000 in the past 2 years, or past year and a half. And so we still have one renter there, but that's not enough to cover the heat bill, the water bill, those types of things.
Does, they have meetings there on Saturday mornings. Do they pay anything to use that?
They bring a donation, a rent donation.
Just
Is that one of the
curious.
recovery groups, isn't it?
Just curious.
They usually do that quarterly.
Last year, they took in revenue, just under $4,975, and they spent $6,500. And this year, to date, they have taken in $1,800, so that is just the rent of that one person. There's been no other rental taken in, and they've spent $2,300. So it's gonna go down another 1,000 this year. And again, there's still 31,000, but it's, when it needs a furnace, it's gonna come out of, that's where it's gonna come from. And so, just be aware of that and have some ideas of either how to increase revenue or decrease the cost.
We're gonna have to add some, as Tish was saying, in our IT supply line more than likely, because again, that was, when we created that budget, that was a stab in the dark when we broke that away from broadband and, yeah, so. We're working with Stacy on that.
Is broadband, making money now? or
Yes,
is
sir.
it-
I mean, we're very proud.
Oh,
We've,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the last
Um,
2 years ago, they want to sell it, so it's just.
Right. We
yes,
got 500,000 or better. It's just certificates of deposit.
we've got, well,
And one,
we got a CD for 300 in that. Yeah, free. of that.
410, thank you very much.
Is that with their CD?
Yes, that's a customer deposit. That shouldn't be in
Yeah,
there.
they make their money.
Gotta fix that.
What have we done? What did we do wrong?
It's posted to the deposit line.
Oh, okay. Good catch, Tish.
Okay, yeah. they
No,
should
give
be
us-
there. I can't tell you, they're at 500, almost 600,000. Not including the deposits, which that's not, the saves money.
Doesn't count, but no, that was really,
And,
Yeah.
that's now, and at the end of the year, they were, this is when, they were at 640,000, and they're at 580,000 now. So, yeah,
All the utilities are out.
So what turned broadband around 2 years ago?
we would have to ask Stacy more of that question. I think it's more, we finally got a better split too, with her not paying so much out of broadband for this IT stuff. I think that's been one of the things. Plus, she could tell you what her customer load is, because I do receive deposits, last month were 900, I think. So she's getting new customers. I think some of those are 25 or some are 75, depending on the bandwidth.
Is she
So,
more self-sufficient now, it looks like, than what
And
she
it's-
was? Because before, she was getting billed from electric for some stuff too, wasn't she?
yes, the IT stuff was probably
not her, but broadband. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, broadband, yes. And she jumped, she should be happier now, because she complained because, she was probably paying some of that stuff. So we have split that a little better, I believe. Yeah, sorry, I was making her take ownership, but she does take
Of
ownership.
the good stuff, of the good stuff.
Yes, yeah, she's very happy, and she does watch her financials, so.
they've done a lot of expansion the last year and a half, I
And-
guess, too.
I mean, if we know we have to judge our world by Facebook today, and we do see a lot of positive on there, where before, I like to see it when they say, well, I recommend the fiber through the city. So that's an improvement.
But that money you're talking about, does that include all that? That's after all the expansions and stuff we've done? Where'd that money come from to create all that?
To have that kind of cash reserve, are
Well,
you talking about on
I
broadband?
mean, we've done a lot of expansion of that system in the last,
Oh, about paying for the
Broadband?
expansion.
yeah.
That's all coming out of there now. I mean,
She paid all of We're,
Yeah,
like right
it's-
now, we're putting electric in down down on South Main, and we're putting the broadband, or the wire in at the same time. So we have an opportunity to be able to have all those homes.
There, what did I said she's paying, but broadband's paying for those expansions now. Electric no longer does that. So, and there is, yeah, that's always been a.
She stands.
Well, I knew there was some back and forth on that because they had to recoup some of that, and they had guys out there doing that though, right?
Yes.
Yes, they had to be
They have
paid
some
back.
support, that, yeah.
The electric had to be paid back out of that. Now we're.
Now there's
we're
use,
ahead.
yes, more, once it
Oh,
got
we're
broke down
ahead.
the way it needed to be, then it's more sufficient,
Mhm.
self-sufficient.
Have any of you got any questions, or Tish, you got anything else to add?
And we just hope to. have
Add,
better-
subtract, multiply, divide?
Add, subtract, multiply, divide, we'll come up with some better numbers and try to give you something so you get something to work with. But, you know, these people obviously work very hard, and when they want some stuff to make things better, and you want to make it better for them, so we'll do our best to find the pennies. But as Jan mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, that lit situation is insurmountable. It is flesh. It is flesh if it's not dealt with. The city just doesn't generate that much income outside of taxes that you can do something to raise, to increase, over $1 million.
And if all three entities get together, we should be better. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if we can get the county council, Austin, us together, we're all better off.
Yes, and that is what I've been told by our financial with Baker Tilly. Because I did reach out to them, because Tish had said, we really have to tread lightly. We've got to kind of do what we did, because we could be broke in 3 years or a little before with
You'll
that.
be, at the end of 3 years, you're gonna start eating through your cash reserves, and when that's done, and you know that we have done a third of the cash reserves every year. Well, because there's always scraps and you put it back, but that wouldn't.
Hold up.
It wouldn't hold up. It would dry up in a matter of 3 years. You would be, it would be you have a 3-year period, but then at the end, it would be flush.
And yes, they did, Baker Tilly did confirm that it was, the numbers showed it was best for all three to work together to try to get, because the only rate the city can do if we don't work together is 1.2.
If the state doesn't change.
Yeah, good luck.
Hmm?
I said good luck.
Right.
They like their money right now.
They, it's outside, it's outside of your hands.
Yeah, it's outside of our hands.
Yeah.
Other than the lit, we still can play with that, with them.
Yeah.
Tish, get us some numbers.
Good, I can do that.
Okay, and watch your emails. We're thinking probably a week. Tish will get those out, and let's communicate back and forth with each other, reply to all your thoughts and what you'd like to see and where you want to prioritize, and then we'll meet again after our 27th meeting. Okay?
That'll work. Thank you, ladies.
Let me see.
Thank you.
Wait, Kevin, help me with this. You're up. I don't know
If
how.
I can help you or not.
Or can you help? Stacy. Stacy.
Let's hit it off.
It's not off yet, so maybe.
That's where you get caught.
Push it to the top.
Say it's push to the top, isn't it?
There's the little
Top right.
But now Mayor, it's all gone. Stacy.
Neato.
Where's Stacy? Here, insert.